If you guys enjoy what I do, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it's free and easy to do. Welcome to my channel where we cover the lore of Final Fantasy XIV. We cover the stories both big and small, the epic and the cute, the silly and the tragic. I hope you all enjoy the ride, and welcome to the Chronicler of Lore. Back at the Rising Stones, Alphinaud gathers up Eorzea's Avengers, also known as the Scions of the Seven Dawn, to get everybody up to speed on the creepy towers that popped up all around the world. The towers were made by a group called the Telophoroi, who plan on recreating the final days, a process that it seems like the towers have already started, and they've been kidnapping members of different beast tribes and using them to summon primals as a part of that plan. To make matters worse, the area around the towers tempers anyone who gets near them, so without figuring out a way to deal with that, there's no hope of saving anyone. We all know there are a few people who are protected from tempering, but that doesn't make them invincible. Arnval's injuries are proof of that. And of course, there's still Garlemald to deal with. Fandania and Xenos lead the Telophoroi, and they've thrown Garlemald into total chaos. The civil war that Xenos started did a lot of damage to the capital, but the fighting stopped now from what Thancred and Urianger saw while they were sneaking through the area. The entire place was creepily quiet, and all of the people seemed tempered and were being made to transform the palace into a really big tower, which means whatever's gonna come out of there is gonna be way worse than whatever you've dealt with so far. So you need to figure out a way to fight back before your friends are overrun, and the best place to get started on that is in Sharlayan. It's obvious the forum knows more than they're telling you, and you need to find out what they know. Right on cue, Tataru rushes in with news that Kral has finished getting everything set for your trip. There's a boat in Limsa Lominsa, all prepped and ready to bring you to the land of people with sticks up their butts. All you have to do is say you're working to help restore the students of Baldesion, and they should let you in without a problem. It's going to be an interesting trip, one that the twins are more than ready for. Once everything's loaded, the Scions hop on the ship at the same spot where Thancred robbed Louisoix a very long time ago. Tataru is of course worried about you all, but there are still other Scions who will be there to pick up the slack while you're gone. While some of the other Scions are sleeping, the Warrior of Light gets a very unique visitor. Hydaelyn herself shows up in her physical form to finally talk to you face to face. But after your trip to the First and what you've learned, trusting Hydaelyn's not exactly an easy thing to do since she is a primal. She admits that Zodiark was made to stop the end of the world, and she was made to bind him. But there have been 7 rejoinings, each one restoring more of Zodiark's power while weakening Hydaelyn. She can't even take your mind into the rift to talk to you anymore, but she had to find a way to come and talk to you to give you an important message. The Scions have worked hard to protect the star, and now it's getting to a point where your time and Hydaelyn's will be linked. A battle is coming that will determine the fate of the world and every living thing on it. Once you finally learn what's happening and you're ready to deal with the final threat, Hydaelyn will honor the promise she made in another time and another age. The Warrior of Light of course has no idea what she's talking about, but since your ship has made it to Sharlayan, she leaves, promising to meet you again soon. After all, you are an adventurer, and she doesn't want to stand in the way of you getting to explore a whole new land, especially one as interesting as the twins' homeland. Since they've been exiled, the twins are a little worried, but they aren't alone. They have their new family who will be by their side throughout this long walk until the very end. Sharlayan is a beautiful city that is designed a lot like Idyllshire and Dravania, but they don't just let anyone in. And while most of the Scions have connections to the place that should let them in without any problems, you and Estinian not so much. But while they don't trade with everyone, they're not as strict with travelers as people think. As long as you've submitted the right paperwork, they don't have a problem letting foreigners in. However, they don't particularly like the Scions, so it'll be better to not mention the fact that you're a part of that group. Kral has everything set up for you, so it should go smoothly. And for the most part it does, since the immigration officer recognizes the Archon marks on some of the Scions, and even though the twins are having family problems, they are still citizens, so it's not hard for them to get in. The problem comes with who you might expect. Estinian. The man looks like he's ready to stab someone, and if you've ever been on a flight or a cruise, you know that looking suspicious does not help you. When they ask Estinian what he does for a living, he can't really say it, since saying I kill flying things with a spear for a living would immediately get him thrown out. Fortunately, Kral shows up and claims she hired him for protection while she's out in the wilderness. It works, but barely, and you're all allowed into Sharlayan. Kral had planned on jumping straight into what she's learned, but since it's your first time in the city, you probably want to explore, and the others have a lot of catching up to do with old friends, so instead of getting straight to work, you'll get a bit of free time before you all meet up at the Baldesion annex. Estinian, of course, goes off on his own, while Kral and G'raha give you a tour of the city. Once your tour is over, you head to the Baldesion annex, where you meet Ojika Sunjika, the cousin of Ejika, the very annoying Lalafell you met during the Eureka incident. Fortunately, he's not as annoying as his cousin, otherwise your constant trips to the annex would suck. The place was used as a rest stop for the students of Baldesion when they were in the city doing research and stuff, complete with a very nice spot for you to sleep while you're there. The place feels empty since so many of the members of the students were lost with the Isle of Val, but Kral plans on restoring the organization once the Telophoroi have been dealt with, which means that break time will be over once everyone else gets there. The others arrive not long after you get settled in, so it's time to get on to the real reason you're there. Kral sees two paths to getting the information that should help you stop the Telophoroi. The first is going to require you all to figure out what changed in Sharlayan that caused the forum to start acting more closed off than usual. There are 99 members, which usually guarantees that there will be a lot of different opinions when it comes to foreign policy. Groups like the Bibliotheques want to record history while keeping Sharlayan out of really making it. But they had others like Kral's grandpa Galif and Louis Sois who wanted to be directly involved with world events. So there are always differing opinions, but for some reason the vote to not help Eorzea with the Telophoroi was unanimous, which means something much more important must be happening in the city, and it is mandatory that you find out what that is. The second part of her plan involves a request made directly to the students of Baldesion. The group had started for the primary purpose of studying strange phenomena around the world, whether they come from mysterious relics or ancient ruins or whatever. Unlike most Sharlayans, the students of Baldesion have a lot of contacts overseas with people who also spend their time exploring the unknown. One of those contacts is Nadana. She's an alchemist in Thavnir, and she's the one who asked for help. A tower appeared out in Thavnir, and the satrap, which is the governor of Razatan, ordered the alchemists to figure out how to deal with it. And it's possible that they found something, but they need someone who is shielded by the blessing of light to test their theory. That, of course, means you. Of course, figuring out what's going on in Sharlayan is just as important, so the Warrior of Light will need to be involved in both, which means, as usual, you're going to be extremely busy. The only question is, which mission will you take on first? Kral, Y'shtola, G'raha Tia, and the twins will be working in the city on the Sharlayan problem, while Thancred, Estinian, and Urianger head to Thavnir. The question is, which group will you join first? And we'll answer that in the next video. So if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and ding that notification bell. And if you want to buy me a coffee for my work, sign up to become a member of the channel. Until next time, guys. Later.